2. We need one of those things so I can do it.
Man, we really need to work on how this goes. Did you cough into your elbow?
Corona.
We'll talk about that. All right, Whānau, this is the next podcast. This is episode 3.
Kia ora.
Should have been like 4. Tough week last week.
Aroha mai.
It's her fault. Playing the blame game. Oh no, it's gonna be.
Anyway, let's cut into our intro music. It's a small intro. I feel like we're getting smaller and smaller with that intro.
That's what we're trying to do with our bodies.
Oh, mate.
Oh no, we're going there. Hey, so today, look, we're filming this on Wednesday, the 12th of August. We'll go live today, Wednesday the 12th of August, as of today.
We work fast, y'all.
An hour ago, Auckland went into level 3 and the rest of us level 2. So we're going to talk about a few of those things because, look, we think things are about to go back to lockdown. And
like a level 3 or a level 4?
It's important to us to talk about that because these things are important to us, especially mental health, and then how to ensure that we can still keep an eye on the prize, which is our election system time frame.
And also, all these changes heavily affect Māori and Pacific Island people.
So first things first, let's talk about mental health. I'm going to share an experience which happened 2 days ago. I was triggered, and I'll explain why I'm sharing this. I had a dream, and in my dream, I'll just say fully what happened. In my dream, dreamed that me and my wider family were having an argument, and basically they exiled me, and my mind wouldn't let me remember who my wife was. Excuse me. And it kept saying that, you have nobody. And I was running through every female that I could think of in my head. Is this my wife? Is this my wife?
But you knew you had a wife?
I was looking for a support system because she's my support system. And I'm hers. Okay, well, super convincing. And I was running through, I was looking for my wife in my head. I don't know if I didn't think I know if I had a wife or not. I was looking for what Cassie is to me in my head, and I couldn't find it. And I felt so alone, like my whānau kicked me out, and why is that important? Well, I have issues of feeling not appreciated and not loved. My family sees this.
It is what it is.
Yeah. So that's what I have those issues. Feeling unheard, not very special, not seen to be very important, growled a lot. And my inner critic, Percy, as I've talked about it, just has a field day. So I had this dream. It was 2 nights ago. And the distinctive thought came to my head, honestly, you should just die. And I was like, what? And I woke up, I was like, no. I didn't know I was dreaming because I thought my son, so I got my date pierced for migraines, and I thought my son pulled it and ripped it out. And I ran to my wife and I woke her up because it's still healing, and I was like, because I thought he had undone it, just a ring. And so I woke her up, she was like, no, it's sweet. And then all of a sudden the dream just flooded into the front of my mind. I was like, had that emotion rushing straight away, and I was triggered. And I felt lonely and alone, just felt horrible. It was about 6:30 in the morning, so we get up about 7:30. So an hour later, I was struggling to get out of bed. And I texted my wife. I told her what happened. I told her the situation. And, it didn't go well because maybe I didn't communicate. She didn't realize the seriousness of it, and I was triggered. I felt I didn't have any more thoughts to be dead, but that thought rocks shit the hell out of you. If you've ever had a suicidal thought or a thought that you shouldn't be living, that's scary. That's scary. That's not a normal thing. And so it was scary. I've had it before, but it was scary, and I felt super alone. Because one thing I really enjoy is knowing that my wife has my back, and that dream kind of told me I didn't have anything. In that dream, it said I didn't have my family, didn't have my kids, didn't have
And then
friends.
what happened when you woke up? Obviously confirmed that as well, because you woke up and then you tried to message me about it, and I didn't have my phone. I didn't even know my phone was getting messages, because when I get up in the morning, it's like full on with the kids. So my phone was on the bench, and I don't even hear it vibrate. So I
came out and tried to tell you.
Yeah.
I started crying. She didn't see that. You didn't see that.
No, I didn't know you started crying. When
I told her and she said, I'll do it later, my eyes welled up and I turned my body away so she couldn't see.
So what I had heard from him was, I just tried to message you. And I was like, I don't have my phone. Like, I'm trying to get ready for school. I didn't know he was trying to message me about, like, anything mental health or that he was struggling. And then all I remember you saying was, it was messages about me. And I was like, okay, well, I don't have my phone. So I was kind of expecting, if I was going to get a bit more context, give it to me now, or like otherwise I'll just read the messages later. It was miscomms.
So she sounded stressed, but most mornings she gets stressed. We just try and get out the door. It's hard when you got 4 kids. Get them out there on time.
And you're sleeping until like late anyway.
Yeah. So I felt let down and I felt alone. And I had to deal with it. She was out, dropping the kids off, and then she read her messages. Hey.
After Kohanga drop off.
Sent me a flood of messages. I'm sorry, and I was like, sweet. And I was like, I started feeling like a charity case, and I was like, do not come home and then come like, like, no, I don't want to be a charity case. And then she was like, all right. Anyway, I went through my processes, trying to tell myself I'm talented, worthy, and loved. Well, I didn't. I was just trying to remind myself it's okay. It's okay. I was watching TV shows, just trying to find humor, just trying to find anything that sparks a new emotion instead of whatever I was locked on. And I got there, and about lunchtime I came out, said I'm all right, gave her a kiss, carried on my day. Now, why do I bring this up? A couple reasons. If you live with a mental illness, it is not guaranteed that you're going to be suicidal. But if unchecked and you don't look after yourself, and even if you do look after yourself mentally, you can have moments where you get really triggered. Now, suicidal also doesn't just mean those thoughts. Like, that's called suicidal. There's just thoughts of death. That's not suicidal. There's suicidal ideation, which is ideation. I did a paper on it
Ideation.
too. Whatever. I did a paper on that, and I learnt that is the ideas of suicide and death. There's a stage after that where you start to make a plan. So thoughts are not uncommon, but that doesn't make you suicidal, and that doesn't make you have a death wish. You need to know, the reason I say these things is because with the lockdown looming, we learned a few things last time, We learned that people wear helmets.
What is a helmet? That is a church college terminology. And
Dicks.
Yes.
But helmet sounds better. The helmet is the tip of your knob. A knob is your penis.
If you can envision a helmet.
So I just explained a slang with a slang to helmet is your penis.
Classic church college.
Anyway, people are dickheads, helmets, whatever. Why? Because people, they weaponize mental illness to like fight against wanting to be locked up. So when I hear things like COVID is the cause for suicide, it really pisses me off. When I hear things like it's the cause of depression, it really upsets me. I know that people's mental health struggle during lockdown. I've seen it. I know people who have struggled. I know them right now, people that are struggling, and my heart goes out to them. But...
And we also know that COVID and all the situation does contribute to mental distress. So it does not help with your mental illness if you're struggling.
It's not a cause, though.
No, but it's not a cause, and that's the difference.
And a cause of suicide is poor mental health. So but suicide, you must understand that it's a choice. Somebody said to me, it's not that black and white. No, it is. That might not sound nice. It's a choice.
That part is black and white. It's the getting there that is not black and white.
It's a scary and a heartbreaking choice that you make. But nonetheless, you can't catch suicide. So that means that COVID can't give you suicide. You can't catch depression either. You can't cough on somebody and make them depressed.
The thing was, if COVID, for instance, was manifesting signs of mental illness in people and depression and rah, it would have been coming long before COVID. Like, it's not, I mean, you can have circumstantial mental illnesses where it is because of the circumstances or the situations you're in that you are feeling depressed, etc., etc. So there is that, but it's not black and white. It is not black and white in that area. So it's not COVID. It is the whole of your life or whatever's going on in your life if we're talking about circumstantial mental illness.
So what does that get to do with that dream? Stuff can happen out of nowhere. So you might be sweet for the first 80% of lockdown and then crack at the end. You might get nervous from whatever reason at the beginning.
People are getting overwhelmed just by the announcements.
So but to tie it back to my dream, is that it comes out of nowhere and it's terrifying. So I want to acknowledge that if you start getting these really scary thoughts, I understand it's terrifying. And the reason I'm sharing my story with you is because that I'm not like a practitioner by like medical terms, but I am practitioner by life terms in the way of that this is what I live with. I work on it. I try and share about it. It's who I am. And it's still scary for me. It's still hard for me. And I have knowledge on it and I understand what's happening. So the reason I share it is that if you start getting these thoughts and it comes out of nowhere, because that came out of nowhere. That was like
literally.
I was asleep and I had a dream.
And you've been having good days.
And
there's nothing.
It's just a trigger. I've said this before. You don't know when triggers come. You don't know what triggers you. But when it happens, this is what I want to talk about: is how to get out of it. How to get out of it. Because if you're locked up, that's not changing. So you can't change that situation. Yeah. If we go into level 4, you can't change that. You're not the boss. That's out of your control. So what can you control? All right, what you can do is you can try and figure out what stimulates different emotions in you. Yeah? So for me, music. I get an emotional reaction from music. Movies. Playing games. That draws an emotion for me. And I scan different songs and movies till something makes me laugh, makes me angry, makes me cry. Because emotions aren't bad, but what I find it does is it jumpstarts you out of this funk. You get stuck into this gear of triggeredness. I don't know what the emotion is. It's I swear I don't have COVID. So that's just something for me. But for you, if it's taking a walk, if it's having a sleep.
What about me?
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm totally different to you, so...
Well, I know, I'm not saying they're more for me, I'm saying if it's for you, like figure out what it is that you like.
And so, like for me, for instance, because I'm totally different and I experience my mental illness totally different to you, mine's just rest. I like to just go into bed and lie down and just rest.
You get cabin fever. So first and foremost, you're always like, can I go for a walk?
Yeah, but when I acknowledge that I'm feeling depressed, when it's the depression, if I'm doing all those things to try and shake off these feelings from coming and becoming overwhelming. But once they're overwhelming and I'm acknowledging it's depression, I'm like, just let me lie in bed for a day. Let me be in bed.
For my memory view, that seems to be the last part. So you work through a process, and that's what I'm trying to tell people, is there's a process. That's your like last bit before you re-emerge into the world. But you want to go for a walk, you want to be outside, you want to ground, you want to sit on the grass.
But I'm also learning that, that's my process. But sometimes it's easier for me to just not fight it, and I feel like doing all those things for me sometimes is quite energy taxing, where I just need to feel the emotions and just be dark and heavy and sad and just go and lie in bed. My voice just cracked because I was getting emotional as I was talking about it. But so it is different for everyone, but it is important to know what exactly is going on. Like
Have a process.
I've actually never mapped it out in my mind what I'm doing. Like now, like how we're talking about it now, I've never.
Because I don't think you're super conscious. I don't think everyone is.
No.
Like I think, oh man, I'm talking away from the mic. I think I'm conscious of it because growing up being self-conscious, being overweight, being picked on, I'm very aware of what happens with me and everything goes around me because I'm trying to control not being made fun of, right? But if that's not you, that's not an asset. That's an asset right now. Because I can figure out what's going on with me. That's not, you've never had to fear for that.
I've never
so
had
you
to
just
be.
like la-di-da, carry on. But I'm often telling her, this is what you usually do. And she's like, no, I don't. I was like, whoa, like take some time and figure it out. Like, so, oh yeah. So she loves her feet touching the grass and grounding. She loves looking at the moon if the moon's out at night. We have a little deck and she'll sit on it at nighttime if the stars are out and the moon's out, and she'll look, or she'll sit and she'll chill. She loves Māori music, and that playing sends her out. She loves resting.
Different strokes for different folks.
She loves
basically.
Instagram and ranting on Instagram.
Yes, and crying on Instagram. That's therapeutic for me. That's talking therapy for me.
So, but it's never just I need to go and sleep, and I don't recommend you just go. I just need this. Because
no, what I'm saying is the rest is not bad.
No, I'm not talking about the rest. I'm talking about. I've got one thing that fixes me, and I say it like this because have a process. Have a process because Have a process because what it actually does is it allows you to, what's the word here?
Function?
Yeah, like it allows you to go throughout your day doing stuff, you know. So I'm never just watching movies. I move around, or sometimes it's the gym, you know, sometimes it's cooking something, sometimes it's having a chat with her. I don't think you ever want to be left to like your own devices. And if you're by yourself, that's different. But in terms of like wallowing in it, feeling it and wallowing in it are different, you know, like, you know what I mean? So find out what's good for you. Surround yourself with good things. And this is really important. You know, this is the chunk taking up a little bit of time, but if we are locked down, if we are stuck in a lockdown situation, you have to know what makes you happy. And I went into lockdown doing this, right? Just before our last lockdown, my brain was a mess, eh? And nobody will know this. Nobody will know this. Why do you keep looking at your time?
Because I'm like getting messages.
Mate, so rude. She's like trying to wrap me up and we just bloody started. No, hey, so, you know, me and you we try really hard to be active in mental health, our own one.
Yeah.
We're very self-aware in terms of we're not dumb to think that bad things can't happen to us if we're ignorant.
We've learnt very fast that it can pop out of nowhere for both of us, and even as prepared as we are, it still pops out of nowhere, and we're still still like, wow, we're not coping as well as we thought.
You cheated on me in my dream. I'm mad at you.
This guy with dreams is like,
I don't have them often.
Dreams are real life for you.
Cut it out.
You get cut at the dreams where I've cheated on you too.
She cheated on me in a dream. Now the question
you just need to stop right there. Stop right there and just carry on with our kōrero on mental health.
Who did you cheat on me with?
Oh, bro.
No, so I realized that I lived my life in fear before lockdown. Everything was scary, and I was reacting instead of interacting and being proactive. So, oh no, if I turn that light on, who's going to be upset? Or if I take this job, am I losing a better job? Wait, do I really like this? Oh, am I okay with who I'm working with? Oh, are they going to be good to me? Oh, am I good enough to do this? Oh, and if I don't do this, and applied to every asset.
Literally.
To being married, to my kids, everything. And that's so toxic. So I realized I need to step back from I talked to my mum. It was about something else, but she was like, step back and then step into it with strength about something else, about one of the topics that I was trying to deal with. And she's a mental health practitioner. I don't always agree on everything she says, but she's very wise.
And she doesn't always agree on everything we
she
say.
She doesn't like us talking. But I love you, my mum.
Love ya.
Love ya. Love ya. And how you don't like us talking on social media.
Oh, shut up. She probably won't even watch this, let's be honest.
But I do love her. And I was very grateful for this chat because she taught me, she's like, no, you're in control. You can't control what people do or anything like that, but you can control what you do. So she said, step back.
Which is so cliche, eh? We hear that so much.
But it's true.
It is true.
Step back, figure out what you want, and then step into it with strength and own it. I was all right. So I stepped back from everything. Not even a joke. Friends, family, work, church, hobbies, everything. And I created boundaries that I've never had before, right? And I was like, okay. And then this was before lockdown. And then a week later, we are going into level 4 lockdown and you cannot leave your house. Stop hoarding toilet paper. And I was like, hey, we're stuck here. And it worked because I didn't have to see any of those people or those things or those jobs. And I talk about on my stream, on Ford Pack streams, like I decided to only do what makes me happy. And that's it. You know? And then you've been doing the same. Yeah. Well, you've been doing that a little bit longer.
I'm quite selfish, so I've always been doing me.
You've been doing that a little bit longer, but not like you make sure that people respect your boundaries, and you taught me that really well.
Yep.
And her teaching me that, because I never had boundaries, and she set them for me. We were 25 when we got married, and she was like 40.
Bro, I'm like 8 months older than you. You be such a bitch about it.
She's a cougar.
That's your like wildest fantasies, eh?
It's pretty good. No, but you set boundaries for me. Mm-hmm. So, but we weren't even aware of mental illness, what was going on with us. But she started setting boundaries for me, and it's been the best thing ever.
And what that looked like, Whānau? What did that look like to you?
Yelling at my mates on social media. Yelling at all my mates on social media, growling some of my family.
Do you know, it's so funny? He has an experience with one of his favourite uncles who, so had you got bullied or you got picked on one day or pushed or punched or something, and you had gone to Uncle Dave, and Uncle Dave was like, boys, stick up for yourself. Don't ever let anyone treat you like that again.
Scared the hell out of me when he said this to me.
But he picked
up a stick, smacked it down, and he just instilled into me on that day. I can remember vividly never taking like shit from nobody. Like I would like want to fight after,
and that's basically what I did for you.
Yeah.
So you had that one experience that you've never forgotten where someone was trying to teach you boundaries.
He just said, you don't ever, someone punched me in the face at one of my mates.
That's right. A friend.
I went like this. Okay, we're going to have sound.
I'm sure he remembers.
23 minutes. I'm sure
whoever it was.
Why did you have to swear?
Because you deserve that, you bitch.
Oh my God.
That's how you set boundaries, my love. But that's what I did for him. I'm like, don't let, like, obviously he's the love of my life. Hold my hand while I talk about this. This is the love of my life, and I will not let anybody come in here and harm this. And so it's easy for me to show my husband how to set. It's easy for us to stick up for the ones we love, because you do the same for me.
So where I'm going with that, like, she set boundaries for me. I didn't know that. I've learned this lesson and I've got better at it. I'm actually getting better now. Like, I'm continuously trying to reestablish it.
Even with me.
Yeah. So the more I learn my self-worth, the stronger I fortify those boundaries. Because
there is still boundaries between this relationship. There's no, you never have to let anyone come into your space, however.
So what I did when I stepped back from everything, I also established a boundary, and I was like, no, I need to step into these things if I want to, when I want to, so that I'm no longer living in fear or reacting, and I can be proactive and interactive and assertive, and don't be consciously anxious to figure out if my decisions are rubbish. So those boundaries are constantly being reestablished. Then COVID hit, and I was able to really fortify that and really dig deeper into it, and then keep pushing more stuff out.
And that's the inner work, y'all.
So why I'm sharing, how does this all tie in, for the first little bit of this Kōrero is, look, I can't control heaps of things, but I can control where I work, who I'm married to, who I'm friends with. If I see my family, if I play in this rugby team, if I eat this food, go to this gym, I can control these things. So what I've learned is that control what I can control, ensure that I do what I love, fill it up with the best things that I possibly can around me, and follow dreams that make me happy. Now, that doesn't always mean there's not bad days. There's still bad days. But by doing that, one, I'm fortifying those boundaries and that self-belief in myself, establishing that I'm worthy, I'm talented, and I'm loved. And two, I'm not letting circumstances really rip into me. And then after that, it comes down to what it is you do when you hit those walls and stuff like that, and how do you bounce out. And that's that process, because what you've already established by filling your happiness circle, cup, whatever up, is you automatically have a protective net around you when you get triggered. Because when you get triggered, you see the negative things so bad, and they like, that's all you can see. But if you've actually started to surround yourself with things that are beautiful and you love, the Percy, the inner critic, has less things to pinpoint, eh?
It's like that whole law of attraction.
What's that, my love?
Where you
were attracted to me.
Where you put out what you want to get in.
So you said, I want this fierce, handsome devil.
It's like living in
to
abundance,
enter into my life,
manifestation,
and into my body.
All that stuff. Right, I'm just going to talk over your bullshit.
But yeah, carry on.
Yeah, that's it. Law of attraction. Put out what you want to get back in.
And I think, I'm just thinking that I'm really worried for people coming up. And it's not because of COVID, but it's because there's stressful things that are going to happen. And you can't control that. So it's important for us to have other things that bring joy into our lives. And that's what this part of this Kōrero is all about. Is triggers can come anytime, anywhere, good times, bad times, like happy,
and
hard,
they will
stress.
be coming through COVID.
If you can't pay your bills, that's stressful. Facts. Okay,
Yeah.
That's not mean COVID's giving you depression. It's circumstances, situations. Like, you can't control that. And it probably just adds to that. We all have stress in our life anyway. Just adds to it, heightens it. So find what you love, fill it up around you. Make sure there's happiness around you, and doing what makes you happy, and have those that you love. Establish those boundaries, and it'll help a long way to get you out of dark places. So that's that first part. That was 27 minutes.
Kia ora.
We're only trying to go for a 40-minute potty today, but
Looks like it's going to be an hour.
well, hey, you love it. No, we can still keep the time. The next part, I'll hand it to you. So what you were saying that are Māori going to be really affected with the politics and what's going to go down?
Okay, so what are we talking about right now? Politics?
COVID, yeah, politics and what's happening.
Politics and COVID?
Yeah, how Māori affected. You were saying that really affects Māori. Just an intro. So.
Yeah, so let's start with, I wanted to talk about conspiracy theories.
I'll go for it then. You go.
So what do we know? We are going into we're in level 3 lockdown. Are we in level 3 lockdown?
No, Auckland is.
Auckland's in level 3, we're in level 2. I get confused where 1 and 4 is.
What, so you missed 2 and 3
I always think 4 is the good one and 1 is the bad one. And a lot of people have been saying that this is a plandemic. It's been planned.
Scandemic.
What else? Scandemic. What else?
Sheeple. We're all sheeple.
Yeah, we're all
Sheep
sheep.
people.
If she's telling us to wear a mask and we're going out wearing a mask, it's because we're sheep. And she's trying to do this to steal the elections, take away our rights, our individual rights and freedoms.
Look, that may be her agenda. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that she didn't create COVID-19.
Yeah, which is or she must be using it to her advantage if this is the case. What else is a part of these conspiracies that are going around? That's basically it, that she's trying to steal the election and she's trying to take away our rights and freedoms. And that this August lockdown was planned and she'd been preempting it and priming us for it. Way back in July, I think some people were saying. Someone posted an infographic that had all this information, and I was like, wow, that looks like a reliable source, but I didn't, but that's what I was thinking. Because it's not a reliable source at all. It's literally someone reading between the lines of what's going on. And what I honestly think is going on, because I've been very vocal about how much bullcrap I think New Zealand Public Party are, because they are the one party who are pushing these agendas, who are pushing these narratives, who are pushing these kōrero against Jacinda. And not a fan of Jacinda. If y'all remember us from 2017, we were loud, proud Māori back then, and we were speaking up and out against the Labour Party and Jacinda Ardern. So obviously I froth at the narratives and the kōrero that come around where people are disliking her. But this one is just far-fetched. And what I know about Jacinda Ardern is she's been the same person in 2017 that she is now. I had a kōrero with someone how she's trying to steal the election through this pandemic is she is going to go to online voting. And I was like, how does that steal the election? And they were like, well, because it leaves out the bigger demographic of voters, which is old people. Can you see any nannies in Kaumātua being able to navigate websites and stuff? And I'm like, okay, well then the issue was a big demographic might miss out on voting, just like there are already big demographics who are missing out on voting anyway.
Young people don't vote right now. Like, people
Rural.
don't vote right now. Rural don't come and vote right now. We got a mate who won't vote on purpose.
But I was like, okay, so let's focus on the issue of a demographic, not being able to vote, not the fact that she's doing it so that they can... The majority of people voted for Labour, okay? They voted Labour, they voted New Zealand First, that became a Labour government. So she doesn't... Why would she try...
Old people vote for New Zealand First.
And why would she try and wipe out a whole demographic who probably support her? You know, I'm like, think critically.
She's killing the polls right now.
Killing the polls. Like,
it's not even close.
No. And the polls have a 3%... There's a 3% chance that it could be incorrect. Those Colma-Brunton polls that happen every month, there's like a 3% chance that...
Because all they do is they get someone on a phone call.
About 1,000 people.
They just make random phone calls.
Yeah.
That's it. So actually, like, full of rubbish. Really.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get how, but whatever. It is what it is.
Or they're just asking 1,000 people. However they come across it, they're asking 1,000 people.
But okay, so I'm like, okay, that's fair enough. Online voting does mean that a majority of people won't vote. That's the issue. The issue isn't she's trying to steal the election just from that. Do you know what I mean? This is where the conspiracy theory is being... They're misinterpreting that information into a theory of she is trying to steal the election. She is trying to take away our rights and freedoms. The next thing is mandating mask wearing. She's trying to mandate mask wearing just like she is going to mandate the vaccination when there's a vaccination.
The whole bloody world's been told to wear masks.
Yeah, and then...
Why? I said fuck.
Yeah,
I said fuck. I said fuck. I didn't say this. I said fuck.
But there's so much information out about wearing masks as well. But what I think is honestly happening is she's taking expert advice, and I think they honestly believed that there would be like, okay, if we're starting to get these outbreaks in this part of the year, based on what's happening in the rest of the world and the rest of the country and what they've been doing and how they've been handling it, we think there could be a potential second wave here. That's what I think is being discussed at their tables. I don't think they're going, okay, Jacinda, so that you can steal the election.
Auntie, what we're going to do is see those old fuddy-duddies, we're going to cut them out.
These are experts in public health. And
then we're going to get everyone stoned so that they couldn't pass the referendum.
I have to give a shout out to Ngāti Tautohe, that's her handle on Instagram. She is a doctor, GP. Actually, I don't know if she's a GP, so take that back.
She was my doctor at A&E when my wife told me I got nothing wrong with me, and I went in there and she was like, yo, you have strep throat. It's one of the worst I've seen. Your wife's terrible. Your wife's
just the hard ass. But anyway, she shared a kōrero today about this issue being a public health issue. It's not a political issue, it's a public health issue. And when we start talking about taking away our rights and freedoms, you're speaking from a place of individualism. You're not speaking collectively. You're not thinking about collectivity where there are vulnerable people. Collectivity. And you're not thinking about those people. And that's Public Health 101, another kōrero I was having with a friend of mine. And that's Tikanga Māori 101, because we are kaitiaki for our people first and foremost. And if you know from the last lockdown, what did all the iwi around the country do? They started blockading everyone off.
They did their thing.
We did our thing.
You shall not pass.
To protect our people. And this is what Jacinda is doing based on expert advice. Like, where are you getting these ideas that she's trying to steal a bloody election that she's got in the bag, that she's trying to take away our rights and freedoms? Oh, it's because she supports the United Nations and Helen Clark is her
Bill
mentor.
Gates is in the country.
Bill Gates has paid all this money and is in the country. Yo, Jacinda was in cahoot with these cahoot with these people long before this year. So if you're just deciding to make that a thing now, like, yo, where were you in 2017 when it was time to vote, and turn your thinking caps on then? Like, shut up, bro. And so,
say that again.
Shut up, bro. And so because this is a public health issue, Māori and Pacific Island face the most dispiriting, man, my words are not right today. Aroha mai whānau.
Left the heater
It's
on.
hot, I'm sweating, like, we're a whole damn mess.
She's sweating because she's next to me.
Our
Calm down, woman. Control yourself.
health disparities in Māori, we will disproportionately suffer far worse in a pandemic because of how we are living in poverty, homelessness.
Can I just say as well, like, you know what really irks me? I was like, they are jeopardizing.
Even your words, jeopardizing.
Jeopardizing, like, hey, control your own words, mate. They're jeopardizing stuff, these conspiracy theorists, right? You're causing fear and panic.
That is inciting fear.
Because look, let's say, what if, okay.
Yeah,
Let's just bloody assume that this is real. We'll just do that scenario first. That this is real. And then, man, what's Jacinda hears all this, her MPs, and they hear everyone, all this rubbish guarantee gets back to her.
We talk to MPs.
Don't reveal our sources.
I'm not, but I'm just saying, like,
yeah, we talk to MPs
talk to people.
So anyway, like, listen, she hears all this stuff, right? And then you're like, flip. She's going to have to make that decision anyway. And what did you want her to do? Oh, no, people are talking rubbish about me.
They think I'm trying to take away
So
your rights and freedoms.
we're not going to do it now. So you're all going to get COVID. You're going to stop breathing.
We do not care about protecting vulnerable people.
So my kōrero on this is like, you knew, everyone who's saying this bloody knew. They know how this stuff's worked around the world. Almost every place in the country has multiple community transmission outbreaks. It's just a really bloody hard thing to fix. It's friggin' hard. We're in a worldwide pandemic. Like, 160 million people, I think, right now got it right. They've been sick 5 months. 5-6 months. Deaths. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands. Medical facilities overrun. Like, it's just not good. So, what is she supposed to do? No, she's going to do what's right. And then what happens? Oh, no. See, they were right. We're going. And then people start doing dumb decisions and jeopardizing the safety even more because they think they're getting hoodwinked. And so they start rebelling against the system. I was like, can we not just crap on her after we fix this?
And what we know about Jacinda is she is like, she's a person for the people. So she's a person who, like, she always used to talk about one New Zealand, and I used to hate it because I'd be like, we're not one New Zealand because Māori people are not equal with you, lady. Doits.
Look, mate, you need to keep the bedroom talk
But that's what she's doing now. She's still trying to protect as many of New Zealand as she can. She's not this, like, she's trying to take away our rights and freedoms. I've even seen, we're going to become...
She's going to be, like, doing what Hitler did, we've seen.
Yeah, we're going to be speaking Chinese by the end of the year. Communist China is part of this whole scenario that's going on. And I'm like, yo, she's just She's just trying to keep our country alive.
What do you think National would bloody do? Judith Collins supported it this morning.
Yes, she did.
She's like, it's devastating, but it's the right move. I just hope they can be transparent. The government, the major governments would do the exact bloody same thing. They would just handle business and economies differently. John Key and them, they want to let rich people in because it's a safe bubble and they invest their money in our economy. That's what they want to happen. She doesn't want that to happen. That's where the differing is. This whole bullcrap about blah, 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 and blah, 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 and you're going to ruin us, and blah, 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 we're going to have to take up arms, and blah, blah, blah. It's just silly. And I think it's not fair. It's not helping anyone. Tell that to the people who've lost family members during the last lockdown. Like, okay, they were old, so they still caught COVID and died. And you're so entitled because we are protected in our little bubble right now. Yo, go to America. That place is in crazy situations. Go to Europe. They're calming down. They've calmed down. They've flared up. They've calmed down. They've flared up.
Go to Melbourne.
Go to Melbourne, bro. They're all up in arms. Like, people going out of business left, right, and centre over there. But what are you supposed to do when COVID's going? We don't know how to treat it fully. We got all these different doctors arguing with each other, saying, take zinc, take multivitamins, be in the sun, do this, do that. Like, you don't know that that's real or not. That medicine is a hypothesis. And if you don't get that right, people die. So Jacinda's trying to do the best that she can with information. And I hate that I have to sit here and defend her. Because I ain't want her to be my prime minister. Go to the Māori party.
Yeah. Nah, total cool.
So that's just where we are. It gets really old, eh?
Like, I'm just sick of it. I'm just like, okay, if you guys are right, what if they're right?
Sweet, deal with that when the world gets a handle on this.
If you're right, now be productive in the way that you are going to go about that information, because what you're doing is inciting fear. That's
why people are bloody lining up, flipping
panic buying.
We weren't even in anything before 12 o'clock and the supermarkets were forced to put their rules in place because people were hoarding.
Funny story. So I went to Pick and Save this morning
to get
some watercress and pork bones because we're feeling like a boil up.
Didn't get it.
Got into Pick and Save. Got my couple of things. I got some pork bones. I got some silver beet and cabbage just to try and have that kind of boil up. Get to the lines and they are just chocker and the trolleys are like mountains high and I'm just like, holy shit, guys. And there's 2 aisles for cash only and I'm like, no one's got cash. And then the ladies at the aisles were like, small trolleys only with FPOS. And I was the only person with small trolley. And I saw these big trolleys running to her. And I was like, small trolley coming through, small trolley coming through. And everyone was looking at me like, and I was like, nah, bro.
Middle finger to all of you coming through. You don't have to do it. Don't have to blow your fingers out in the edit as well.
But yeah, just it needs to stop. Like, we need to band together.
Did we not learn from like the last time? Like, we got really good in the last one. People stopped. Like, your
hacker for this. She's stealing the election for our rights and freedoms, etc., is not helping the most vulnerable. And the most and you claim to care about the most vulnerable. You claim to care about the people who are losing their jobs, the people who are homeless, the people. Then be productive in that space. Like, put all that energy into what you can do for that space. If it means feeding someone, if it means not going down to the shops to panic buy, if it means like. Be productive. There are things you can do on a ground level instead of haka, and we're all going, whoa, is that for reals? Is it even we are questioning some of the stuff coming through? And I like to think we are critical thinkers because we're fair. We remain fair. We look at both sides of the story. We don't support Jacinda. We are very clear on that. But we've looked at this and we're like, wait. This doesn't make sense. And I want to put out a whittle to those people who are saying this. Have you looked at the situation on public health? Like, what is your experience with public health, and how do we support public and population health in our communities and in our country? How would you have done this? That is my whittle to you all.
All right, so that's really our kōrero today, whānau.
Annoying that we have to talk about this shit, man. Well, I'm getting angry.
It was fun.
No, it's annoying that we have to come and say this to people.
Controversy gets us views.
Ooh, like and share, te whānau.
So sponsor us.
And share.
Send stars to my stream.
Yeah.
All right, final words. You get 1 minute to wrap up your fun.
You go first.
Me? All right. So my final words is just around the mental health side. I know that it's going to be scary for a whānau. I know that some family have been separated. We have really good friends who their husband's been overseas for 5 months now. Missed the birth of his baby, birthdays, beautiful family. You can't take 2 weeks off on either side. It just doesn't work. So he'd take 2 weeks off, then have to fly in isolation and get on the plane, go back. He just doesn't have that time to support them. Going over there rips up their family. Coming back here takes away their income. It's really hard. And I understand that. And I'm not trying to be insensitive to those family. And I know that stress. So I know that families are struggling. But just remember that, one, you're talented, you're worthy, and you're loved. Don't let that message be blurred by the stresses of your everyday life. Fill up your life with good stuff, and it'll help you on those days you're triggered, because you'll be able to see more positives, ideally and hopefully than negatives. And just be kind to each other. We can do this, Whānau. We can do this.
And just in my closing kōrero, I would just like to say on the topic of critical thinking, if you are someone who promotes critical thinking and prides yourself in being a critical thinker, remember, critical thinking doesn't mean I think critically just about this topic. It means you've got to come and explore the other side as well. That's critical thinking. If you haven't done that, mahi, you're not critically thinking. This is called a confirmation bias, where you're looking at all the information that suits your narrative and going with that. That's not critically thinking, whānau. And it's very clear the people who are coming across with their whakaaro and their information sharing and their sources that are not even sources, how not critical their information is, and that is harmful to our whānau, to our people, and to Māori especially, who are faced with the hardest ships in this country, as we are already not an equal people. So kia kaha whānau, and learn to critical think.